What's good? What's good? Another day, another video. I'll move this back. Another day, another video. In this one, I'm just gonna discuss how the United States is moving toward communism. And I live in California, so it's pretty bad here, and I'm pretty sure what happens here is like the worst, and it's gonna start happening elsewhere. Yeah, thanks for all those views I got on the last video, and I gained a subscriber, so thank you for that. But, okay, I'll get into it. Like I said, I do live in California, so it's most definitely probably more communist here than it is anywhere else in the country. And like we're kind of at socialism right now. I'd say we're moving toward communism, but like we're still socialist in many respects. But remember that socialism is the stepping stone toward communism, according to Lenin. So, Vladimir Lenin. If you don't know who that is, look that up. But here in California, it's almost as if you have to go along and agree with the group identities that are available to you to fit into anything. So you can't just be your unique self and walk into any scenario. You have to identify with a certain group, be it a profession, a fraternity, or some other social group. So the group is more important than the individual. People will look at the group you identify with before looking at you as an individual person. So this is part of the reason why I put MGTOW in my titles, because MGTOW, what I like about it, it's not a group, it's a philosophy. Like you guys always say. A lot of my comments, they're like, it's not a movement, it's a philosophy, which I agree with. The one thing that binds us together is that we would all rather just be our unique self than join some kind of a group for acceptance into society. MGTOWs, a lot of them, they kind of just believe that you should be able to be yourself. You shouldn't have to be part of this group or that group to gain access to societal acceptance, respect, and resources. You should just be able to be yourself and build stuff that you want. And you can join a group, but as an individual first. So everyone in that group sees each other as an individual rather than the group being the sense of identity. If that makes sense. The individual should be the source of identity, and then that person can join a group. Rather than you being a nobody first, and then you join a group, and then all of a sudden you have identity. To me, that's not good. And I don't think I live in America, so I don't think that's what this country was built on. If our country was built on that, then that would be how it is. But our country wasn't built on that. So that's just way too much cognitive dissonance, because you have all of these structures that should be relying on the individual. That's how they should be working. But people are trying to throw the group on it, and then it just makes it too muddled, because then the institution doesn't work properly anymore. The institution just becomes communist, for lack of a better word. And we didn't start off if we started off as communists, then I would say, okay, we're communists, but we just didn't start off as communist. So I don't think we should switch to being communist, because that's too much cognitive dissonance. But overall, like I said earlier, we're still more socialist in the US than communist. But yeah, socialism is a stepping stone to communism. I said that already. The government control of the economy should honestly be a red flag. No pun intended. But that should be a red flag. The economy just means allocation of scarce resources. That's what an economy is. An economy is just allocation of scarce resources. And what does government mean? Government simply means those chosen to represent everybody else in a society. That's what a government is. the people choose certain people to represent them, and then that body of representatives, that's the government. Like, that's just what it is. So in my opinion, if you put those two definitions together, the people who represent us shouldn't control the allocation of scarce resources. We should do that ourselves as individuals. The government should just be the arbiters of disputes. So those people chosen to represent us shouldn't be deciding what businesses get to stay open, what group of people gets resources. Like, for example, there was this proposition that said, like, only, it's like a reparations thing, only black people in a certain city should get money, like, given out money. And that's just one example. And I'm black, I'm African American, whatever the crap you want to call it. But I don't see why we can't just go, because it's twisted. If you have the government giving you something, you're gonna be less inclined to go out and try to get something for yourself. And then also the people, so I don't want to get too into that. Maybe that's for another video. But basically you have a lot of examples of that. You have the government deciding, okay, who gets stimulus checks and who doesn't. If you're above a certain income level, you don't get a stimulus check. If you're below that level, you get a stimulus check. If you're above a certain level, you have to pay this amount in taxes. If you're below, you have to pay this amount. So when you have the representatives deciding how the resources are being allocated, like what you have to contribute and what you don't have to contribute, then there's no, the playing field, if you want to call it that, there's no playing field anymore. Because now, okay, when you're in this group, you get this playing field. When you're in that group, you get that playing field. If you have this profession, you have this playing field. That profession has that playing field. This gender has a playing field. That gender has a playing field. This race, that race, all this, everything's just broken up because the representatives, here, I'll just continue. When the government gets too big, everything becomes a dispute, which you enter identity politics in that sense. And identity politics is another red flag. When you rely on a group identity to gain acceptance in society, it's much easier to fight with another faction that has a separate identity as a group. Individuals will not fight amongst each other unless it's absolutely necessary. So when I say group identity, you might be thinking, oh, I'm talking about transgender, gay people, black people, women, men, all that crap, but like it goes deeper than that, because a lot of this stuff has been happening for a while. So group identity, a lot of times that's your political party, could be a group identity. The profession you have is honestly a group identity, and I learned that firsthand. The state you live in, that could be a group identity. Like, there are so many things that constitute what group identity you could have. Also, like what ethnicity you are, obviously. So when you have all of these group identities that people align with, that's how how it works currently, is you use that identity to go forth in society, rather than you just being an individual and then you going forth. Yeah. So that's kind of an overview of what I kind of explained throughout the entire video. But I hope that makes sense. What else can I say? Okay, so identity politics is a big feature of communism. So when you don't see others as individuals, but rather as a group they're part of, then that's kind of where we are. And it's so ingrained now that it might seem normal. It might seem, to be honest, like the way that things should be, just because that's the way things have been, honestly, since you grew up. See, I didn't notice this stuff, to be honest, until the past year or so, ever since I got out of school, then I realized how much the group identity matters. Because people always, they'll see, okay, what group are you part of, rather than what you did as an individual. Because now everything is so segregated in terms of the society in general, that it doesn't make sense anymore to ask an individual what that individual did, or how that individual is living, what that individual's specific ideas are, because everything is so group oriented now that when people say, oh, he has this profession, or he has these ideas about politics, or even if they just look at you and your skin color is a certain color, or the people you hang out with are a certain type of way, they'll automatically just throw a lot of different things onto you. Which, because it's more of a mental shortcut, because there are so many groups divided. Just for the sake of survival, your mind takes those shortcuts. Just for the sake of survival, just so you can manage yourself in a social setting. And that's ultimately the crux of it. When you have to look at what group the person is part of, or groups the person is part of, as a way to navigate social situations, rather than just talking to the person as an individual and using what you've gleaned from what they say in order to navigate social situations with that person. To me, that is the crux. That's the ultimate barometer of whether we live in a society that's focused on the group or the individual. And when we're focused on the group more, and I'm not saying you can't be part of a group, I'm just saying what is the basic unit? So is the basic unit a person, an individual, or is the basic unit the group that they're part of? Yeah, and that's the best way I can say it. But that's it for this video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you like the content. Sorry this one was kind of long, but I tried to get some important stuff in there. And I'd probably see you tomorrow. Hopefully that made sense. Peace out.